if you want to become an influencer. And I think that the way that you become that is, one, you have a very narrow focus. You are the subject matter, the go-to authority on a particular subject. And you basically live and breathe that particular subject.
Welcome to the Laws of Business podcast. Here, we will share the skills you need to make your business a success. Learn about goal setting, productivity, time management, marketing, and much more. Hear inspiring stories with today's best business leaders and join a hub of thousands of passionate entrepreneurs across the world. And now, here's your host, Jamil Jama.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Law of Business. I'm Jamil Jama, and I interview entrepreneurs that can help you to start and grow your business. And I've got a real special guest today, and we're talking about something very, very important. The interview today is going to be about how to find influencers to help you with your business, to help you with your marketing. You've heard that word of mouth marketing is the most effective form of marketing. You see videos going viral, you see companies getting tons of press and hundreds of people writing positive reviews. A single endorsement can literally create a bestseller overnight. Now, our guest today, Greg Jameson, is an Inc. 500 award-winning entrepreneur. He's the author of several #1 best-selling books. He has been building e-commerce websites and helping businesses become successful on the internet since 1995. So Greg has been on the internet since the internet was a baby. His book, The Influencer Effect, describes his secret gears system so you too can create massive online success using the power of influencers. Please help me welcome Greg Jameson to the show. Greg, thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks, Jamil. I am really looking forward to our conversation today. I think this is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm happy to be here.
Fantastic, Greg. So I'm really excited about this interview, Greg, and I'm really excited to have you being here. And the topic is very exciting as well, and it's going to help many people, not just entrepreneurs, but people in general, because this is about how to connect with influencers, right? We're talking about how to connect with influencers, because that's what you help people with, right, Greg?
Absolutely. And as you said, influencer marketing has kind of become the big topic here in recent times. And I think that there's some very good reason for that, because it's a great way for people to get their message out.
Definitely. So before we get to the interview, I'd just like to give you all a bio of who Greg is. I know I gave you a brief bio just a while ago, but I'll give you a more in-depth bio. Greg Jameson has been at the forefront of digital commerce since the start and brings 30 plus years of web development and e-commerce mastery. Greg has a history of bringing the technical, leadership, and communicational skills to large organizations like Chase Paymentech, Aerospace, and Los Alamos Labs. As the President of WebStores Ltd, he's now focusing this expertise on businesses that need a profitable web presence. Greg Jameson is often referred to as an internet pioneer. He has been called America's leading expert on marketing like Amazon. The #1 best-selling author of multiple books, he's a sought-after consultant and speaker whose goal is to make you successful on the internet. He has awards for International Developer of the Year, Colorado Small Business of the Year, and listed on the Inc. 500 of fastest growing companies in America or in the world. Is that right? In the world?
In America.
If it's in America, it must be in the world.
It must be the world. I don't know.
Because it's the largest economy. So, Greg, it's a real pleasure to have you on the show, Greg. Like I said earlier, so I'm very excited about this interview. We're going to learn a lot, and this interview is going to benefit many, many people.
Yeah, that introduction makes me sound like I'm some kind of a superhero or something, but what it really means is that I've just been around a long time, and if you stick around long enough and you are consistent over time, then you start to get people to believe that you have something to offer, and hopefully I will be able to share some of that with you today.
Yeah, because you started working on the internet when the internet was a baby, 95. What existed in 95, by the way? Amazon started in 94. Google started in 97, so there was no Google.
There was no Google. I used to joke in the early days of the internet, like when Google had just started, about how I'd been on the internet since '95. Building the internet since '95, and Google had been searching the internet since '97.
So, Greg, we all know celebrities are the most followed people on social media, and their videos are the most watched on YouTube, and they influence millions of people. But do you have to be a celebrity to be an influencer?
Influencer marketing is actually something that is really interesting, because so many brands will go out there and they will think that they need to hire a celebrity in order to really utilize their influence to get the word out for them. And brands or celebrities certainly do have that role with some brands. If somebody is selling jeans, for example, they may want to have a young millennial looking girl in their tight-fitting jeans to advertise their product for them. But the reality is that even though a celebrity might have a huge following, the number of people that actually take action because a celebrity tells their following to do something is a smaller percentage than if somebody is a close friend. For example,
that's true, definitely.
If somebody recommends a new restaurant in town, or they recommend that you go see a new movie or whatever, and it's your friend, you'll probably do it. If a celebrity was to say the exact same thing, you may or may not do it. And somewhere in between those two extremes is really where the sweet spot is for brands that want to utilize influencer marketing as a part of their strategy. And that is to find people that are experts in their subject matter. They are the go-to authority in their niche, and they have a large enough following, and they have the knowledge behind it that when they recommend something, their followers say, hey, I'm all over this, and they tend to take action.
There's a quote, today there is nothing more valuable than an audience. I've seen people building audiences on Instagram and YouTube, and they're not even celebrities. I think it's easier for females to get a following on Instagram, but men probably have to work harder on that, I think. I think so, because I've seen that, yeah. I've seen the woman just has to be pretty and people just start following her, but the man has to work harder to get a following on Instagram. So
there's something to be said about that, in not just on Instagram, but on anything. We all know that people like looking at beautiful women. Even women like looking at beautiful women. So there's no question that, sex sells. But I think that you really have to have, as I was saying, a knowledge base and being the go-to authority on something. And if you are, an old craggy fisherman who happens to be the world's biggest authority on catching fish, then it doesn't matter that you aren't a supermodel. People are going to, if they're interested in fishing, they're going to listen to what that person has to say.
Definitely. So you have to know, you have to be an expert. You have to be seen, you have to be perceived as an expert, or be an expert is better, I'd say.
Yeah, and it really helps, I think, if it's both. You are an expert, you do know what you're talking about, you've built your career around doing something, and people know that about you as well. There are certainly people out there that are seen as experts, like maybe a Dr. Oz or something, as it relates to being healthy with your heart and so forth. Well, he not only is seen as an expert, he actually is a heart doctor and has built his career around that. So people will follow him if they are interested in their heart health.
We now know how important influencers are to our business. So how do companies go about finding influencers?
That is a really good question, Jamil, and one that is actually something that companies should be aware of, is how can they actively find people to influence their products and services. Now, as it turns out, one of the best ways to do it is to simply ask. But then the question is who are you going to ask? If you are, it depends upon the industry that you're in. But one of the things that I really recommend is that you go to your industry conferences and conventions and you rub shoulders with people that can become your influencers. Now, most real serious influencers are probably not going to promote your business without some type of reciprocation. That reciprocation might be just getting free product from you. It might be that they expect to be compensated.
I'm guessing they have to like you as well.
It's what?
I'm guessing they have to like you as well. You have to be likable.
They absolutely have to like you. And yeah, if in fact they don't like you and they agree to promote your business, it's going to come across as being inauthentic in the first place. So you really want to find people that are already people that like your brand, like you, and maybe are even already promoting your products for you without you even asking them to. I know I've got a friend that is a speaker that recently was up in the New England states, and it was snowing. And so he went on stage wearing his snow boots. They were LL Bean snow boots, and he actually put a post out there showing how he was wearing his LL Bean boots on stage while speaking. And he tagged LL Bean in his post about that. Well, he was not getting compensated by LL Bean for doing that, but because of the fact that he was doing this, there's a very good chance that if LL Bean is on their game, that they will contact him and say, hey, that was really cool. Would you do that again? Type thing. And we'll even pay you to do that.
So social media is a good way to connect with.
Social media is a good way to find influencers. The other way to find influencers is there are actually websites out there that are directories that put together brands and influencers. So an influencer can go on there and register their profile saying, hey, here's the kinds of things that I blog about or tweet about or whatever. And a brand can go on there and saying, hey, this is what our brand is all about. And the brands can look for influencers there, and the influencers can look for brands on these kinds of sites as well.
Okay, but so I'm sure there's plenty of ways to find influencers. Another way is buying their products, getting coaching from them, etc. But that might be too expensive. And Greg, there's a quote that entrepreneurs use, and they use this quote quite a lot. And the quote is, "I'm going to do whatever it takes." The quote is, "I'm going to do whatever it takes." So, Greg, what does it take to become an influencer?
The reality is anyone can influence anybody else. Like we talked about earlier with your family and friends influencing you to go see a movie or go to a restaurant. But the real thing that most people look at when they're thinking of influencers, as it turns out, is not so much the size of their audience. That is one variable, but more so the engagement level that someone has with their audience. A lot of brands will actually find someone that has 1,000 followers, and if the influencer says something, all 1,000 followers are sitting there putting their hands up going, that's really cool, I want that, versus somebody that maybe has 100,000 followers and nobody cares. So the level of engagement is really important if you want to become an influencer. And I think that the way that you become that is one, you have a very narrow focus. You are the subject matter, the go-to authority on a particular subject. And you basically live and breathe that particular subject. I just, talking off the top of my head throughout the thing about the old fisherman. Well, if that is what your subject matter expertise is fishing, then it's like everything you post about has something to do with imparting information with your followers about fishing and really trying to get some kind of an interaction going with them so that they look up to you and what you have to say.
So quality over quantity, and you have to be an expert, as we were saying earlier. You have to be an expert in your field.
Absolutely.
And the way to be an expert in your field is just to focus on one thing at a time. You can't be doing too many different things.
Yeah, if you're just out there promoting whatever products you want to promote, no one's going to take you seriously. You're basically going to be like the celebrity, except that you won't have that kind of following or fame, so you'll be much less effective.
There's also a book by, what's that book, the 10,000, I haven't read that book yet. I need to read that book. The 10,000 Hour Rule.
Right.
It's by Robert Greene, that's it.
Yeah, how it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert. And
is that correct?
Well, that's interesting. I've read that quote too, and I heard it attributed to Malcolm Gladwell, but
yeah, that's the one. Sorry, not Robert Greene. Malcolm Gladwell.
10,000 hours basically means that it's going to take you 10 years to become an expert. Well, we've all seen people out there that become YouTube sensations and Instagram sensations and so forth a whole lot faster than 10 years.
Definitely.
So I have heard this other quote that while it may take 10,000 hours to become an expert, it only takes about 400 hours to become more knowledgeable than the average person on
to become really good. Yeah.
So, if you are looking at 400 hours, that means that if I'm going to dedicate myself to learning a particular subject, I can do that in a relatively short period of time if I'm willing to put in the commitment that it takes to learning that particular subject.
Yes, definitely. That's awesome. Definitely agree with that. I know it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert, but I knew it was much shorter to get really good, like 1,000 hours, or as you said, 400 hours.
Yeah, and so that's the reason why, somebody that is putting videos out there about, I don't know, a lot of these kids are putting videos out there about games. Well, if somebody spends 400 hours playing a game, they're probably going to be pretty darn good at it and be able to blog and tweet and post YouTube videos about it.
Yeah. I think another way to become an influencer, from what I've seen, I saw some YouTube videos, some comedians. What they did, they collaborated. And I saw their subscribers go from 1,000 to 70,000 real quick. Not 1,000 to 70,000, 1,000 to 30,000, then 50,000, then 70,000, 100,000. Or some from 10,000 to 50,000, now they're on like 300,000. Some are on like 1 million subscribers. They collaborated. So a good way to connect with influencers, to become an influencer, is to collaborate with other influencers.
Collaboration is absolutely huge. And if you think about influencer marketing in general, that's essentially what it is. You've got a brand collaborating with an expert out there, and as a result of that, the expert's status goes up and the brand's status goes up. And that can be true with whatever you're doing. It's not unlike what we're doing here on this podcast. I'm reaching your followers and you're reaching my followers. That collaboration, it can be huge, and it's something that you really need to take into account when you're doing any kind of marketing.
There's talking about marketing, Greg. There's the best marketing of all is happy clients, and there's loads of ways to do marketing, How does influencer marketing compare to other forms of marketing?
I think that influencer marketing is really, in many ways, kind of the basis of a lot of different types of marketing. You see people talking about word of mouth. You hear about affiliate marketing. You hear about joint ventures, people writing testimonials, content marketing, social media, all of these things. In many ways, they really are some form of influencer marketing. And if you are just sitting here looking at saying, okay, what I'm referring to as influencer marketing is I'm going to go hire a celebrity or hire an expert to promote my products for me, well, they're probably going to be utilizing a bunch of the other forms of marketing that are out there, such as making a YouTube video, posting things on social media, sending out newsletters and blogs and so forth. So they all work together.
Awesome, Greg. And Greg, I definitely need to ask you about your book, because I'm definitely going to buy this book, The Influencer Effect. When did you publish this book?
The book was actually something that was really interesting as to how it kind of came to be. I was giving a presentation last February in front of a group of retail businesses, and they had asked me to put this presentation together. So I put this presentation together, and it was a little over an hour-long presentation, and I already had all the slides done for it and so forth. Well, after the presentation, I had a lot of people coming up to me going, that was really interesting. I'd like to find out more about this. And I didn't have anything about it at the time, so I thought, hey, I've already done all the work. I've already put all these slides in there. Why not publish it into a book? So writing the book actually came fairly easily because of the fact that I had already done all the research and put the content together. And it was published in July of last year, so 2017. And it was received very well. It went to #1 on 2 different lists the first week that it came out.
Congratulations.
And it was a lot of the methods that I used in there to market the book were really what I was talking about in the book. I have a bunch of different people that wrote different forwards to different parts of the book that are big names in the internet marketing world. I had a whole bunch of people that posted images of themselves when they got a copy of the book and plastered it all over social media. And as a result of utilizing my own influencer marketing, the book just kind of took off. So very happy with it. So
who is this book for? Is it for internet marketers? Is it for entrepreneurs? Is it for vloggers? Is it for bloggers? Who's the book for Greg?
There's really 2 people that it can benefit. One is companies looking for ways to have influencers help promote their company. And the other is for people that are influencers that want to engage with companies.
And where can we find your book, Greg? Because I'm definitely getting it.
Well, it's certainly on Amazon, and that's probably the simplest way to get it. I do have it for sale on my website as well, just at gregjameson.com. But if you get it on Amazon, it's available as paperback, hardcover, or audiobook, as well as an ebook. So lots of different ways that you can consume that content.
Yeah, I'll place a link on the in the description. So Greg, what are your future plans right now, Greg?
What are my future plans?
Yeah.
I am continuing to go out on the public speaking circuit and.
Oh yeah, I never asked you about that because you're a public speaker. Yeah, now we can talk about it. Thanks for reminding me.
Okay, so I go out and I basically like to meet people by getting in front of an audience and then interacting with them afterwards. And one of the things that people frequently want to do is figure out how they can continue to follow me and or work with me in some capacity after that. So it's pretty easy for people to follow me by following my blog or my podcast. I'm easy to find. I'm all over the internet. But if people want to actually work with me, I have a couple of different coaching programs where people can participate in a group coaching program that is super affordable, and they get to interact with other business owners and see what's working for them and how that might apply to them as well. So that is a real easy way to get into kind of being part of my tribe.
Awesome. So if you want to be an influencer or connect with influencers, Greg Jameson is the person to connect with. He can be the middleman. Is that correct?
There we go. I'll hook you up.
Awesome, Greg. So, Greg, I'd like to thank you so much for taking your time to do this interview. I really enjoyed it.
I did as well. I appreciate you having me, Jamil.
And I want to thank all the listeners for tuning in and listening. If this interview if you know anybody that this interview would benefit, please share it with them. Please let me know what you think in the comment section and subscribe. And I'm Jamil Jammer. This is The Law of Business, and I was Greg Jameson. Thank you all very much for listening. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to the Laws of Business podcast. Find out more about us on thelawsofbusiness.com. Thank you for being a part of our journey.